welcome dear students. Hope you are well. I'm your English teacher from iOLC school and I'm conducting class 6. So follow my instructions carefully. You should have your rough copy to jot down the important points and hold a pencil. You have to be attentive during the class, and if you have any query relevant to the topic, then at the end of the class you will be allowed to ask me the question in the chat box. During the class, I'll share a screen with you and you are supposed to take the screenshot. Then after the class, you have to complete all the work in your fair copy. So you have a slide of tenses. What is tenses? Tenses play a crucial role in the English language. It denotes the time in which an action takes place, whether sometime in the past, in the present, or will take some time in the future. So, from a general view of tenses, this module will go on to discuss each tense in detail with examples. So, very first, we have a slide of present perfect tense. In the present perfect tense, the sentence is, have you ever eaten sushi before? This tense shows the life expressions. Now, the second is, man has walked on the moon. This sentence shows the accomplishment. I have become more interested in magical shoes. The sentence shows the changes over time. I have seen David several times. It shows the multiple actions at different times. I have lived in Paris for 5 years. This sentence shows the unfinished actions. I have just finished my project. This sentence shows the recent completed actions. She has lost her wallet. She can't find it. It shows the finished actions. It means the present perfect tense says that an action was completed at a time before the present and the results or consequences of the action are relevant now. Actually, dear students, the present perfect is a grammatical combination of the present tense and the perfect aspect that is used to express a past event that has present consequences. The term is used particularly in the context of English grammar to refer to form like I have finished my work. So, see on the screen, the present perfect tense connects the past action to the present time. For example, I have lost keys. I cannot open the door. Second example is Mary has gone out. She is not home now. Now, an action that started in the past and is still happening. For example, we have not been to New York and my mother has been sick for many years. So hopefully you got it. Now we have a structure of present perfect tense. Firstly, please review the example, review the definition of the present perfect tense. Present perfect tense expresses the completion of the action or the task of the present. Very first, we talk about the affirmative sentences. The structure of affirmative sentence is very first we write the subject, then the helping verb. We have a helping verb of has and have. Then we use the third form of the verb, and at the last of the sentence we use the object. For example, he has written an essay. He we use as a subject. Has is a helping verb we used in the sentence. Written is a third form of the verb, and an essay is the object. Okay, so simply we followed the same structure as I taught before, that subject, has, have, and the third form of the verb, and at the last we use the object. Now we talk about the negative sentence. Very first we use subject, then has or have, then not, then third form of the verb, and then object. Because we are going to make the negative sentences, that's why we use not after the helping verb. He has not written an essay. Why we use not after the helping verb? Because we are using the negative sentences. We are making the negative sentences. If you want to change the affirmative sentence into the negative sentence, simply we put not after the helping verb. He has not written an essay. Clear? Now, we talk about the interrogative sentences. See the structure, has and have plus subject, then third form of the verb, and then sign of interrogation. And before the sign of interrogation, you have to use the object. Has is a helping verb. We use the helping verb at the start of a sentence. For example, has is a helping verb, so we use before the subject. He is a subject, We use has before the subject. Has he written an essay? Okay, so we followed the same structure as I told you a little while ago. That has he written an essay? Has is a helping verb. That's why we use at the start of a sentence because we are going to make the interrogative sentence. Then he is a subject, written is a third form of the verb, and an essay is a object. And at the end of a sentence, we use the mark of interrogation. It is very necessary, and without marking the sign of interrogation, your sentence is not going to be made correct. Okay, you got it? Now we have a slide of some examples of present perfect tense. So listen it carefully. It will be easy for you to understand all the tenses. I have number one sentence. I have seen that movie 20 times. I have is a helping verb and seen is a third form of see. So I follow the same structure as I told you a little while ago. I is the subject, have is the helping verb, and seen is a third form of see. Here, I have seen that movie 20 times. Now the second sentence, I think I have met him once before. Number third sentence, there have been many earthquakes in California. Number fourth sentence, people have traveled to the moon. Number fifth sentence, people have not traveled to Mars. Number six, have you ever read the book yet? Listen it carefully. Here we use read. The spelling is the same, R-E-A-D. That is also we use in the first form, but the pronunciation is totally different. If we are using the read as a first form, so we pronounce read. And if we are using as a third form, so we pronounce it read. Have you ever read the book yet? That is an interrogative sentence. That's why we use the helping verb at the start of a sentence. Then we use the sign of interrogation at the end of a sentence. Now, the next sentence, nobody has ever climbed that mountain. That is an affirmative sentence. Last sentence, has there ever been a war in the United States? This is also the sentence of interrogative because we use the helping verb at the start of a sentence and at the last of a sentence we use the sign of interrogation because it's very necessary to put it at the end of a sentence. Yes, there has been a war in the United States. That is the answer. It means it is affirmative sentence. Okay. Now we have a tense of past perfect tense. The past perfect refers to a time earlier than before now. It is used to make it clear that one event happened before another in the past. It doesn't matter which event is mentioned first. It does make it clear which one happened first. Dear students, actually these two tenses, past perfect and the simple past. However, we use the past perfect to talk about the something that happened before and the action in the past, which is usually expressed by the past simple. For example, it is used for the past action already finished when another past action happened. For example, after the film had started, we arrived. This sentence shows that the past action already finished when another past action happened. Now, for the past action that started in the past and continued up to a given time in the past. For example, I had never seen him for 5 days. This sentence shows that some actions that started in the past and is continued yet to given time in the past. Clear? Now, for unreal or imaginary things which is in the past, what does it mean? It means, for example, we wish we hadn't eaten so much. We wish we hadn't eaten so much. This sentence shows for unreal or imaginary things which is in the past. Now, in reported speech, after verbs like said, told, asked, and etc. For example, she said she had swum. Swum is a third form of the verb, okay, and had is a helping verb. Hopefully you got it. Now we have a structure of past perfect tense. Very first we want to explain it again the definition of past perfect. Past perfect tense indicates the finished or completed actions of the past. So very first we talk about the affirmative sentences. So the structure of affirmative sentence is subject, had, third form of the verb, then object. So for example, the players had lost heart before the match finished. It means the players is the subject, had is the helping verb, and lost. Lost is the third form of the verb. And heart before the match finished, that is object. So we use the same format or the same structures as I told you a little while ago. That the subject, had, third form of the verb, and then object. Now in the negative sentence, if you want to change the same sentence into the negative, then we use subject, had not, plus third form of the verb, then object. For example, the players had not lost heart before the match finished. Why did we use not here? Because if you want to change the affirmative sentence into the negative sentence, simply we put the not after the helping verb. Clear? Now, interrogative sentence. Had plus subject, then third form of the verb, then object, and then at the end we use the sign of interrogation. For example, had the players lost heart before the match finished? Sign of interrogation. Very first we use the helping verb. At the start of a sentence, we have to use the helping verb because we are going to make the interrogative sentence. Then we use the subject, then third form of the verb. Okay, and at the last, we use sign of interrogation. Again and again, I'm going to make you clear that the sign of interrogation is very necessary. Without marking the sign of interrogation, the sentence is going to be made correct. Clear? Now, please let's see the examples. Mike had finished his homework before he watched television. Mike is a subject, had is a helping verb, and finished is the third form of the verb. Clear? That is the affirmative sentence. Now, number second sentence. My mom had left before I woke up. My mom is a subject, had is the helping verb, and left is the third form of the verb. That is also the affirmative sentence. Number third sentence, the snow had started to fall before Christmas Eve. Number fourth sentence, the team had finished practice before 10 a.m. Now number fifth sentence, she had never visited Africa before her trip in 2009. Sam had seen the red car before he ran into it. Hopefully, you got a clear understanding about the tense of the past perfect. If you have any query, then at the end of the class, you can ask me the question in the chat box. Now we talk about the future perfect tense. In the future perfect tense is used to express an action which the speaker assumes will have completed or occurred in the future. The tense is also sometimes used to express completion of an action in future before happening of the another action. For example, she will have learned the Chinese language before she moved to China. Let's see, the future perfect tense is used to describe the actions that will be finished by some specific time or date in future. Now let's see the structure. Very first, we revise or we review the examples. We review the definition of the future perfect tense. Future perfect tense is used to express the actions that will be completed in future at some times. For example, if you want to talk about the affirmative sentences, subject, then will have is the helping verb, then the third form of the verb, then object. That is the structure of affirmative sentence. For example, I will have taken the exam. I is a subject we use, will have is the helping verb, and taken is the third form of the verb, and the exam is the object. Okay, now the negative sentence, we use subject plus will not, then have plus third form of the verb, then object. Let's see the example. I will have not taken the exam. Now, the interrogative sentence, will plus subject plus have plus third form of the verb, then object, and at the end of a sentence we use the sign of interrogation. For example, will I have taken the exam? If we are making the interrogative sentences, we use the helping verb will before the subject. Then after the subject, we use have. Means, will I have taken the exam? If some students are using will have I, so that is the wrong structure. The correct structure is will I have taken the exam. Now let's see some examples of the future perfect tense. By next week, by next week, we will have came 100 times on money. Next sentence, I will have prepared breakfast by the time the children wake up. Now the third sentence, the rain will have stopped by tomorrow. That is also the affirmative sentence. The next sentence is, they won't have been married by next year. The last sentence is, by that time I will have finished my homework. Now in the negative sentences, they will not have received enough score by the summer. They will not have been married by the next year. The rain will not have stopped by tomorrow. My mother will have prepared breakfast by the time my father and brother wake up. Now the question sentence is the same term of the interrogative sentences. Will he have finished his work by 5 o'clock? At the end of a sentence, let's see that we have marked interrogative. Okay. Will they have sent an email until tomorrow? Sign of interrogation, because that is interrogative sentences. Will people's life have changed by 10 years? Will we have arrived in China by the next week? Last sentence, will the concert have started by 20 minutes? Hopefully you got a understanding about the perfect tense. Now, very first, before starting the perfect continuous tense, I just want to make it clear the difference between the since and for. Okay? Why we are using since in the sentence? When something is started in the past and continued until now, since is mostly used in the present perfect and the perfect progressive tense. Progressive means the perfect continuous tense. For example, we use since for 8 o'clock, since Monday, since February, since 1982, since I left school, and since the end of the last century. Now, for is used for the period of time, just for mention the number and to mention the time word. For example, for 10 minutes, for 8 hours, for 5 days, for 6 months, for 3 years, and for 2 centuries. Now, present perfect tense, present perfect continuous tense. What is present perfect continuous tense? Present perfect continuous tense expresses an action that started in the past and continued to present. It is used to state an ongoing action that is started at a point in the past. So let's see the structure. In the affirmative sentence, we have the structure of subject, then have or has, then been, then first form of the verb with ing, then at the end of a sentence, we used object. For example, they have been learning English for 2 years. Now in the negative sentence, the structure is subject plus have or has, then not, then been, then first form of the verb with ing, and at the end of a sentence, we use object. For example, they have not been learning English for 2 years. Again, listen it carefully. If we want to change the same sentence, the same affirmative sentence into the negative, simply we put the not between the have or been. Have not been. Most of the students make the sentence like have been not, so that is the wrong structure. Somehow we have to make the structure like have not been. Clear? Now, in the interrogative sentence, we have a structure have, has, plus subject, plus been, plus first form of the verb with ing, then object. Have they been learning English for 2 years? It means we use the helping verb before the subject and after the subject, have they been? And at the end of a sentence, we use the sign of interrogation. Let's see the examples. Number 1, she haven't been coming to office since 12th July. Number second sentence, we haven't been listening to music for a long time. Number third sentence, they have been going on a course to learn English for a long time. Number fourth sentence, how long have you been playing chess? Number fifth sentence, you are out of breath. Have you been eating? Number six, he has been reading a newspaper for 2 hours. Number seven sentence, has he been playing computer games since Monday? Number 8, the baby hasn't been crying for 3 hours. So while seeing these examples, please notice that where we are using the since and where we have to use the for, because I already told you the difference between the since and for. Now we have a slide of past perfect continuous tense. For example, let's see on the screen. The boys had been playing soccer for about an hour when it started to rain. It means past perfect continuous tense is used to describe an ongoing action that started in the past and continued for some time in the past. It expresses continued nature of an action that started and stopped at some point in the past. Let's see the structure. First, we want to explain the key definition of past perfect continuous tense. Past perfect continuous tense indicates a past action which started in the past and continued to happen after another action in time in the past. For example, in the affirmative sentences, we have a structure subject plus had been plus first form of the verb with ing, then object. In the negative sentence, we use subject plus had not been plus first form of the verb with ing, then object. In the negative sentence, let's notice that if you want to change the same affirmative sentence into the negative, simply we put the not between the had and a been. Okay? Now in the interrogative sentence, had plus subject, then been, then first form of the verb with ing, then object. Then at the end of a sentence, we put the sign of interrogation. Clear? Now, let's see the examples of past perfect continuous tense. He had been doing this since last 4 years. She had been making noises for 10 minutes. It had been praying since morning. It had been laughing for an hour. We had been studying since last 20 years. They had been doing that business for 10 months. You had been cheating on me since last 2 days. Isa had been making the clothes for 2 months. The politicians had been befooling us for ages. I had been suffering from illness since this evening. They had been driving the car for 1 hour. We had been developing this page since the last 4 weeks. Now he had been taking selfies for 2 hours. She had been raising the funds in the name of cause since last week. You had been watching circuit trains for 10 hours. So also you have to, while seeing the same slide, you have to notice that here I have used since at the for. Okay. Now we have the slide of future perfect continuous tense. In the future perfect continuous tense is used to describe an ongoing action that will complete in future. It is used to express the ongoing nature of an action with regards to its continuation towards a point in future, and the action is assumed to be continued for a time. Either it is specified or unspecified in the future. For example, the children will have been studying in classroom for 3 hours. Very first we talk about the affirmative sentences. In the affirmative sentence, we have subject, then will have been. Will have been is the helping verb we are using in this sentence. Then first form of the verb with ing. Then time reference you have to give in. Okay. Now example is, she will have been learning French for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks is the time reference. At the end of a sentence of the future perfect continuous tense, it is compulsory that you have to show the time reference. Now we talk about the negative sentence. See the structure: subject plus will not have been, then the first form of the verb with ing, then time reference. Again, you have to show the time reference because we are going to make the future perfect continuous tense. See the example. She will not have been learning French for 2 hours. For 2 weeks is the time reference that we have to use while making the future perfect continuous tense. Then in the interrogative sentences, the structure we have, very first we have to use the will before the subject. Then after the subject, we have to use the have been, as we use the will have been in the affirmative sentences altogether. But while making the interrogative sentences, we use the will at the start of a sentence. Then we use subject. Then after the subject, we use have been. It means the structure should be will, subject plus have been. Then we use first form of the verb with ing, then time reference again. And at the end, you will use the sign of interrogation. Example, will she have been learning French for 2 weeks? It means will is a helping verb we are using at the start of a sentence. She have been learning is the first form of the verb with ing, then French for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks is the time reference. Now, sign of interrogation is compulsory to use at the end of a sentence. Now, let's see the examples. Very first, he will have been enjoying the holidays. Second is, the children will have been learning lessons in the classroom for 2 hours. Third is, the farmers will have been sowing crops for 1 month. She will have been performing duties since 2017. I will have been traveling around the world for 5 years. Peter will have been solving the equation for 2 hours. I will have been enjoying the holidays by the end of this month. John will have been teaching English grammar since morning. Our son will have been making progress for leap and bounds. He will have been wandering in the streets since night. She will have been walking for 2 years. The doctor will have been treating patients since 2018. Hopefully, you got a clear understanding about each and everything, whatever I have told you while taking the class. Now, let's see the home task. Copy down the structures of tenses and complete the given exercises. How many exercises we are going to give you? Let's see. The first exercise, what you have to do, answer the question about you. Use the present perfect in your answers. What you have to do while completing the exercise, simply you have to use the present perfect tense. Okay, please take a screenshot. Okay, now let's see the another slide. In this slide, when you will complete this exercise, simply you will use the past perfect tense. For example, there is a sentence number 1, the fire dash. In the bracket, I have written already and reached. The roof by the time the firemen arrived. It means in the blank, you are going to fill the tense which is related to past perfect tense. Here, while completing this exercise, simply you will use past perfect tense. Here, hopefully you got a clear understanding about the perfect tense and the perfect continuous tense. If you have any query, then you can ask me the question in the chat box. So wish you best of luck for your next class, and from my side, Allah Hafiz.